I think for a lot of people, the fact that the government said you can have 3 households in a bubble means that there might be an expectation raised in certain parts of certain families. Brilliant, we can all get together.
Yeah.
Whereas, of course, there are other family members who go, I don't want to put you at risk. It's actually sort of caused almost more of a problem, I think, in some family dynamics.
Undoubtedly. It's very complicated and tense, isn't it? And family sort of dynamics and family politics can be tricky at Christmas. We know it can be quite a tinderbox. Not everywhere, obviously. And actually getting that right and getting it right so everybody... I mean, that's the point, isn't it? As long as... And I'm sure Hillary has an opinion on this. As long as people are doing it and they're doing it carefully and understanding the risks involved, Hills.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of doctors are saying to their grandparents, look, because I love you so much, I don't want to put you at risk. And I think we should just communicate in a different way this Christmas. Having said that, I know people have suffered this year. I know that they feel isolated or their elderly folk feel isolated and they want to get together. And I think if they've both been shielding to an extent, if they've both groups have been very careful, very cautious, very responsible, then the risk is small. And I've used the expression balance of risk a lot this year, but it is about balance of risk. The virus is still quite prevalent. Yesterday there were 18,200 cases that tested positive that's just the numbers we tested, and nearly 700 deaths. So the virus is still a threat. It's still out there in some parts of the country. You know, a lot of people are infected, and it's highly transmissible. We have to remember that. I think if people need to get together, you don't have to follow the guidelines to the letter, but they're the minimum. You can do more than the guidelines suggest and be more cautious than the guidelines. You shouldn't do more than that. But 3 households is a lot of people for some families. So I think just be sensible and keep gatherings to a minimum.
It's good advice. I mean, yesterday, as you say, Dr. Hillary, infections seem to be just edging down a little bit, but the deaths, 696 deaths within 28 days of a COVID test. I mean, that's a shocking number, isn't it?
We need to remember, yeah, it's highest since May. We need to remember that the mortality lags behind hospitalisations, and hospitalisations lag behind increasing prevalence of the infection. So we need to be careful how we interpret the data. Everybody was cheered a couple of days ago when there were 11,000 cases recorded. Today it's 18,000. You can't look at 24-hour periods and say that's the trend. You have to look at the monthly trend or the weekly trend to really see where we are. But we know that there are many places in the country with high prevalence rates. And I think that when we come out today, when we hear what areas will be in Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, we can look at that and say, well, you know, why is that? Why are we in Tier 3? Why are we in Tier 1? And is Tier 1 enough? And that's going to be based on several things. It's going to be based on the amount of infection in your area. It's going to be based on whether the NHS in your area has capacity and whether it's coping. It'll be based on whether the infection rate is rising or falling, what's going on there, and the percentage of those people who test positive. So almost all those factors will be put into an algorithm and decisions will be made with local authorities as to which tier you're in. Yeah. It does make sense because, obviously, if your local area has got lots and lots of infection, you need to take extra precautions.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Hillary, thanks very much indeed.